So good afternoon. I've already been presented. I work for EUWID Pulp and Paper, and I want to have a little gaze in the crystal ball what the market might have in store this year for us. So, and when we look forward, it's good to look back. So this is the development over the last 3 years, just to see how we came to this place where we're in now. So it was a very eventful decade so far. We came out of COVID when the war in Ukraine started with exceptionally high input costs, and you can see very high containerboard prices. Then inflation shock drove prices down at the end of 2022 and the beginning of 2023. And then the market was just flatlining and tugging along. And people we spoke to said this year was brutal, the summer was brutal. It was a really difficult market environment. 2024, things got a little bit better at the beginning, with prices going up and more optimism in the market. But finally, it failed to live up to the expectations toward the end of the year. So in the first half of the year, amid inflation coming down, people getting wage rises, and the market looking more optimistic, and costs being high, paper manufacturers were able to put through 2 price increases for recycled containerboard. In the UK, it was 3 on the continent. So, and the thing is also that paper mills still had to manage output, so they were not able to run their machines to capacity at this time, which also, of course, increased the costs per tonne. When we came out of the summer break, the market looked rather different. People talked about uncomfortably high finished paper stocks. Prices for recovered paper started to come down. Paper mills had overestimated the demand, so prices started to come down in Europe. So the 3rd price increase was taken back in Europe, first in Poland, then in Italy, a bit more slowly in France and Germany, and in the UK, the 3rd price increase wasn't even implemented. And at the turn of the year, December, January, we even saw price decreases. So a bit of the price increases put through in the first half of 2024 have now disappeared. And this is the situation we're in. Let's have a look at the cost development. This is OCC. And you can see it's a very volatile development. This has to do with a market or export exposure of the market, of course, and also with the fact that arisings are coming down. And what is very interesting is that in 2023, that didn't flatline. Prices stayed high, and they are still at a high level. So if we compare with 2019, OCC prices were really low, and they are now twice as high despite the flat market. And this is just to represent that the UK lost like 2 million tons of recovered paper. Much of it is graphic paper, of course, but it applies to OCC as well. Talking about volatility, another big import or cost factor is energy. This is, of course, the spot market. Doesn't apply for contracts, but you can see as well in 2023-24 those prices didn't really come down, and they're still at a comparatively high level. And for example, at the end of 2024, those prices went up, while at the same time containerboard prices went down. So that means there is a lot of cost pressure on paper makers. So to sum it up a little bit, if we look at containerboard production development in the main markets that we're covering, 2024 made a recovery after 2023, but it couldn't really recover the losses we saw in 2023. And the same goes for corrugated board production in the UK, with sheet feeding being a positive exception here. So that's the big question. Where are prices headed now? We still see overcapacities and modest market prospects for the market. At the same time, the cost pressure on paper making is really very big. So over the last 2 weeks, we've heard that containerboard manufacturers have announced price increases in Europe to the tune of 90, 100 euro per tonne to be implemented from February or March. And I've talked with my colleagues who are doing the markets in Germany, Italy, and France. So what do you think? What is the mood of the market? And they said generally, under normal circumstances, everybody would think that the markets are too weak for price increases. On the other hand, we've seen in 2024 that you can also put through cost-driven price increases. So some people said, oh, maybe it's just to fend off the price decreases that are still looming. Others say maybe price increases will be coming, maybe with a delay, and maybe not to the tune that they have been announced. So we have to watch that space, because normally the UK follows with a month lag behind the European markets. So, talking about overcapacities, these are the projects that are coming now. Aaron, of course, it's 2025-26, as we have learned now. You can see most of those projects have been delayed, and the ones in yellow have a question mark now. So Stora Enso and Hamburger said they wanted to put through their projects in Langerbrugge and Kütahya only when they see a real market improvement. And for Fiber Excellence, Chapelle d'Arblay, they are still struggling to get the financing through, so they've got a new deadline until May, and we see how this goes. And these machines, my colleagues said, are the victims to the 2023 development. So Varel and Julius Schulte canceled 2 big projects, both in Germany, by the way, and those machines had to close in late 2023 or at the start of 2024. We can go through this quickly. Of course, high costs and uncertain markets are reasons for projects coming under scrutiny. So what's in for the UK market this year? One big thing is the new paper capacity, which is imminent to come on stream. And then, as we look at the market mood, we saw that there was quite a positive mood in the market until September, but at the moment, everybody seems to be concerned with the high labor costs. So this is very well illustrated from the British Chamber of Commerce. So in September, you can see still quite a positive market outlook. And in their latest survey, which was published on 15th of January, they said business confidence has slipped to its lowest since the aftermath of the mini-budget in autumn 2022. And I can only say I've heard that too. Everybody we've been talking to has been concerned with the high labor costs and what it will do to growth prospects of the industry in general. And then the Aaron effect has already been illustrated much better. The UK will be a net exporter when the machine has reached capacity, and will keep a lot more paper, recovered paper, within the country. And I've talked with my colleague who's doing the Italian market. The Italian market is the biggest recovered paper exporter in the EU, and they've got 2 big machines coming on stream this year from Mondi and DS Smith. And what people are saying is they expect prices there might be a little bit higher on average, but the whole market will probably be a lot more stable if you have more domestic recycling than being exposed to export markets. So then at the medium term, for the containerboard market, unfortunately, it seems like high costs are staying with paper mills. Recovery is only slowly, recovery is only coming very slowly. So there might be more capacity shutdowns, might be more mergers, and also, unfortunately, insolvencies. And when we look at the entire trading environment, it is really very, very difficult to make any predictions. So what will happen with tariffs and more trade barriers? Will it be possible to end the war in Ukraine, which would be very good? Maybe the baby drill will lead to lower energy prices if the US are really increasing their production in fossil energy. And another question is sustainability losing ground. So one thing having to do with net zero targets maybe not being so important for companies anymore, but also the implications of the new EPR fees in the UK, which seem to favor plastics instead of paper. So What does that mean for an industry that is committed to making sustainable packaging? So in the end, unfortunately, I have more questions than answers, but thank you very much for your attention.